Welcome to Soccer Yanks with Dave and Dan, a Soccer Newsday podcast. Today we have a special guest with us. Unfortunately, Dave can't be with us, but Chris from Across the Pond Radio is here. Chris, say hello to our listeners.
How you doing, world? Happy to be here. Having good results lately, so I'm excited to talk.
Yeah, Chris is if you don't listen to ATP, he's a huge Liverpool supporter. So we're gonna be breaking down that Arsenal Liverpool match, and I'm sure Chris is gonna give me real talk.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, I mean, we still have to play on Sunday, so I'm not gonna give you too much shit yet.
Right after Sunday, then the real bragging rights kick in then.
Exactly.
So just before we get started, tell us a little bit about ATP.
ATP Across the Pond. We are a podcast that really just discusses primarily English football. We're all Americans, and we really felt like there's not enough talk. There's not enough Americans talking about the game, the English game specifically. Yes, we do watch a lot of other football. I watch some MLS. I watch La Liga. I watch a lot of different stuff. Champions League football, of course. I love the English game. I've been a Liverpool supporter since birth, thanks to my dad. So, really, a lot of my interests lie around the English game, as well as a lot of our other co-hosts. So, we're kind of all from all over the U.S. and we've had some recent guests on. So, if you're interested, you can find us on acrossthepond.co. Acrossthepond.com is a little expensive, so. We're starting small and working our way up.
I just visited your site. It just launched, I guess, this last week or last couple of weeks.
Yeah. We just got a new site up. Check it out if you get a chance. We've got some really cheap merchandise on there as well. So, we're just a bunch of guys who love the game and love talking about it. So if you get a chance, take a peek.
I can relate 100% to that. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about last Saturday, the thumping, 5-1. Liverpool destroyed Arsenal. I'll let you have first dibs at it. What were your initial thoughts? I mean, how ecstatic are you?
Well, I mean, I'm honestly very happy with the result. I mean, we've had some huge wins like that this season. We've also had some tough losses. I'm happy where we are in the table at the moment. But to focus on the game, I mean, Dan, you know, I predicted. I believe I predicted a 1-1 draw. Arsenal's been very good all season until this past, week and a half maybe. And honestly, I think. I wasn't exactly surprised with the result, and I can honestly say that because we have had some huge results this season. We beat Tottenham at White Hart Lane 5-0. We beat Everton at home 4-0, and now Arsenal 5-1. So those are huge results. I don't think there's a team in the Premier League that doesn't fear Liverpool, but Liverpool's a beatable team. And I wish I could expose Liverpool, but, maybe some scouts, some Chelsea scouts are watching or something. So I'm not going to say too much about our weaknesses. I'm sure you know plenty of them. But I will say I was not surprised by the result. Very excited. We played our game plan, and it was a good show for the home fans.
I can't really argue much about how well Liverpool played. I mean, they came out. There's one easy way to always beat Arsenal. It is to have your midfield and basically your front six players press the Arsenal's midfield, and they right out of the gate, they completely disrupted Arsenal's midfield. They couldn't hold on to the ball. They were a little stunned, and it's very fortunate. The first goal within 50 seconds, right?
Yeah, it was less than a minute.
So I mean. For any team to concede a goal within 50 seconds, it's
on the road.
Right. It's a shock, right? So it's a shock. I won't even get into the details. I'll just assume that that goal was onside. It was onside. They scored. Could have easily been flagged the other way, perhaps. So you have a team that's already on the back foot, 50 seconds in, another set piece. They're down 2-0 within a couple minutes. I think at that point they just said we got to go all out to get back in this game, and they just spread their legs open and let Liverpool take advantage.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. I think Arsenal did kind of need to respond that way. I just think maybe there was a little underestimation of Liverpool's counterattack. At that point, I mean, you look at Spurs did a very similar thing. I think we were up maybe 2-0, 2-0. We were up 2-0, and they started. This is when I'm sorry. I have to say Liverpool was probably the sole reason, not sole reason, but definitely pulled the trigger on the AVB sacking. He was fired. I think a week later, maybe even less time. And that's because AVB was playing that high line even after we were up 2-0, and then we were just playing balls right over the top, and it was just, I mean, there aren't a lot of defenders that can keep up with the pace of Daniel Sturridge at the moment.
Oh, well,
especially center backs and
Sterling, Suarez, Sturridge.
Sure.
I mean, the pace is incredible. And
honestly, Suarez is the slowest of the three, and he even outran some guys in the Liverpool derby. So I think he outran Distan or one of their other center backs. But he had a goal where he basically ran from about half field all the way down and slotted one past Tim Howard. So I think there's a lot of pace on the field, and we can hurt teams in the counterattack. So it's very tough, I think, to beat this Liverpool team once you're down. But it's not to say that it can't happen, because both Chelsea and Man City were both down 1-0 against us earlier in the season. I was actually at the Chelsea-Liverpool match at Stamford Bridge, and we scored within the first 5 minutes of the match, and it was just amazing. It was euphoric, and then Chelsea kind of grinded out the game. Mignolet made a big mistake, and Hazard had a pretty good goal from outside the box, and they beat us 2-1. So I mean, we could definitely, but you have to look at those teams as well. They play very conservative on defense. They also have great personnel to carry out the plan. So
to just roll it back a second, we had a podcast that we titled Suarez Sacks AVB because I remember that week. I mean, like, it was AVB got dumped because of how poorly he managed that game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think tactically the way to come out against Liverpool, and Wenger didn't do it, was to weather the storm for 50, 60, 65 minutes, because you can't keep up that pace for the whole match.
Sure.
You even saw it in the Arsenal-Liverpool match. I mean, it's when you're up 5-0, it's kind of easy to slow down. But
yeah.
They did. But that's when Arsenal was able to get something moving finally.
Sure.
So, and I think that, and I know you said you weren't shocked by the result, but I really feel that even like the real media, not even us podcasters, they even said, well, Liverpool's defense wasn't really tested, because I still think it's a weakness. I mean, Kolo Touré is.
Don't get me started on Kolo Touré.
No, right? I'm not, and I'm not to. I mean, he's a former gunner. I mean, he's an invincible.
Right.
But it's there is a flaw still there, and it just hasn't been tested, because once they get a lead, it's hard. It's hard.
Okay, a couple things. I will say, yes, Kolo Touré at times can be sort of a liability. That's been seen and proved on more than one occasion. West Brom and this last match against Fulham are two prime examples. But I will say Sakho and Daniel Agger will be back into the lineup very soon. So we will be a lot more solid, at least in the center back department. Enrique and Glenn Johnson are also coming back. I'm not saying we have the best back four in the league, but the back four is going to look twice as good in 2 weeks. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Today, Jose Mourinho came out and said, Liverpool
I saw it.
has the best chance to win the league. And really, what he's referring to is the match congestion, or the lack thereof, that Liverpool has. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great question. I mean, first, I have to just say Mourinho's just talking, because he's got to take the pressure off his first place Blues. But I mean, we do play Man City at home. We play Chelsea at home. We play Tottenham at home. We're 4 points off the top. I definitely think we are the dark horses of the league. The question is, I really think this is where it's going to come down. Can we get pretty good results against those 3 teams at home? And I mean, when I say pretty good results, can we take 7 points from those 3 matches against Tottenham, Chelsea, Man City? If we get 7 points from them, preferably beating Chelsea and Man City, and maybe taking a draw against Tottenham, and playing well against some of the low guys. I mean, this has been Liverpool's problem for years. We've always been able to test the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea and Man City because they underestimate us. And we've always had, not always, but for the past 10 years, we've always had at least 1 or 2 players that can take over a game, in Fernando Torres and Luis Suarez, etc. And so
Gerrard.
I think, yeah, exactly, Gerrard for many years. And I just think, if we can put away these big or some of these smaller clubs and consistently win, I mean, I'm sorry, Dan, but I think it's inevitable that Arsenal's going to drop more points in the next month. I mean, they just have too tough of a schedule, I think, if he goes for Champions League. If he's really trying to play players, I'm interested to see how you guys fare against us on Sunday, because I don't know is Wenger going to play his guys? I mean,
today I read just today that he said the Manchester United match took too much out of us. I'm going to have to rotate the squad for the FA Cup, especially knowing that Bayern is on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So 72 hours later, we got Bayern. At least they're home. It's home, which is good. But be prepared to see Fabianski in goal, Bettner up front, Gnabry. I think he rests Rosicky. I think Chambo gets a start. So you're not going to see. I think what some people had alluded to is going to happen. Vermaelen is supposedly healthy this weekend, so yes. So you might see him and Koscielny out there, give Mertesacker a breather. Flamini's back, so I'm sure Arteta's going to get a rest because the guy's on 1.5 legs. It's rough. So I think I don't want to say that he's throwing in the towel, but I don't think he's going to give the FA Cup the league is more important. Champions League, I think, is more money. So I think he's gonna rest a lot of the key guys, and you guys may win the FA, may win this tie in the FA Cup.
I mean, it's tough to say I don't want to win the FA Cup, but I can tell you as a Liverpool supporter, my number one focus is, I want us to qualify for Champions League. I think we have a fairly good shot at challenging for the title, but I don't think I could say out flat that I think we can win the title. I just think there's too much going on. Our squad is thin, and we just got to take it one stroke at a time. I think our team needs to bolster up for sure in the summer, and Brendan Rodgers knows that. A lot of Liverpool fans know that. But I'm happy with the way we're playing right now. I also think, you have to think about, Manchester City plays Barcelona coming up in Champions League. I'm not sure who is Chelsea still in.
Yes.
It's tough for me to follow Champions League a lot as well because we're not even eligible. So
Chelsea's in. I forget who they have though. All the English teams are still in it. So okay. I just don't remember. United's got Olympiacos. I don't remember who Chelsea has. Obviously, Arsenal has Bayern. City has Barcelona. They're still in it though. So yes.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of these clubs near the top have distractions. Tottenham and Liverpool, can gain some ground in the next month, but there's still a lot of time to play as well. Liverpool could have a meltdown. I hope it doesn't happen, but at the moment, it looks like we're finally grinding out these games, like against Fulham. So I'll be interested to see how we perform against some of these lower level teams, how we play away at Southampton, how we play against Swansea coming up a week from Sunday, I believe, and so we'll see how it goes.
I mean, you made a point that you said that you don't think this is the year for Liverpool. I actually think this is probably the best chance they have. I'm not saying that. All right, let me take that back. I'm not saying that in the future years, the next coming years, that they're not going to be a strong team. But I'm saying that because it's so tight right now, and because they don't have Champions League to worry about, and let's just say Arsenal does beat you guys on Saturday, and all you have left is the league.
Sure.
That's actually kind of works in your favor, and you're like you said, you're only 4 points off, and they all got to come to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
it's not out of the question.
it's not out of the question at all. No, it's definitely an attainable goal. I mean, you're talking to a lifelong Liverpool supporter. I have not seen an EPL title in my time as a human being. So, my father was a big Liverpool fan because of John Barnes. He's Jamaican, so my dad is as well. So that's how I kind of fell into this club, and I just, it's been a long time. Stevie G wants it. You can see it in his celebration after that Fulham match. He was ecstatic. He's passionate. He thinks they have a shot. Brendan Rodgers thinks they have a shot. They're not going to come out and tell the media that. But I mean, we're 4 points back, and we have these guys at home. I'm not a crazy lunatic Liverpool fan, but I always think we can go out and win games. And I think if this team comes out firing like they did against Arsenal, if they don't let up against some of these small teams, we fought back twice against this Fulham team. We were down twice the other day, and it was not pleasant to watch. but we found a way to win that game, and that's something that Arsenal's done a lot in the past. Like that's what teams do. That's what winning teams do. Man City did it in their championship run. Man United has done it for years. So I'm happy with the resilience right now.
Two things. The last time Liverpool won a title, well, they never won a Premier League. I think it was '92. So you're a young man.
It was not a Premier League. Last time we won was
1992, I think.
Right?
It was okay.
Now,
so
we have never won a Premier League title.
No.
I'll say that.
But just as you were alluding that you guys were struggling with Fulham, and and it's something I kind of beat this drum that championship teams grind out wins. They figure out a way to win even when it's not their day, when they don't deserve to win, or they should only get a point, and they figure out how to get 3 points.
Every point matters.
But this is like how you had said that Arsenal's bound to drop some points. But we're seeing that everyone's bound to drop some points. Chelsea dropped points this weekend. City, actually, in everyone's favor, City's match got postponed, and now they're going to have to figure that out. So they're going to have to stick that somewhere in the season later when they're already they're in Champions League, FA Cup, So that's kind of works into everybody's favor a little bit, perhaps. So in that, you can't. It's the Premier League. So I know, yes, I agree. Arsenal's going to drop points, but I think the top 4 or 5, they're not. No one's going to go perfect the rest of the way. Everyone's going to drop some points. This is definitely building up to be the last couple weeks are going to be nail biters. I have a feel no one's going to run away with this thing.
I mean, and what's crazy is you're seeing a lot of these statisticians come out and say that even 4th place is going to require something ridiculous like 78 points.
That's insane.
What's even crazier about this season is that, and what's interesting is that you have a lot of these teams racing for the title. You have a lot of these teams racing for 4th place. If you want to count the teams like Manchester United and Everton as candidates still for top 4, a lot of teams chasing for that spot, and then you have a huge relegation battle going on. So every game matters to almost every team. The 10th place team in the league, really the only team that's not worried about anything, I think, is Southampton, because these guys are just sitting in the middle of the table, and they're too far from 4th, and they're just far enough away from relegation.
I think Southampton.
Maybe Hull City and Swansea, but
39 points Hampton, Newcastle 37, Swansea 28, West Ham 28, Villa 28. I mean, then it's like 27, 27, 26, 20. It's like they're all within a couple points.
Yeah, so every match matters. I mean, so you're going to see teams that shouldn't be fighting, shouldn't be giving other teams trouble, but they're fighting relegation off. So
this is going to be a good run-in. I don't know if you know. You probably think you listen to the podcast. Dave is a big Manchester United fan. He since he's not here, I'm gonna let you fill in. And no, I'm not gonna. I want to touch base on. Did you watch the Arsenal Manchester United snoozer?
Unfortunately, I didn't actually. No. Well, fortunately, but I did see. I did see some of the highlights. I was busy watching my boys in red fight off a battle at Craven Cottage.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was the same exact time. That's
Same
right.
time, yeah.
Uh, it's funny. I watched the United Arsenal match, and you could tell that it was a team that was like, we can't lose. But both teams came out saying we can't lose, but neither team said we have to win.
Yeah.
And it was because of how they performed last weekend. If both teams had come out last weekend with wins or with better results, let's say Arsenal had drawn or lost, but not in an embarrassing fashion, I think you would have seen them try to take points off of United. Both teams came out just
timid.
Nobody wanted to give anything. And I think Moyes has been reading my tweets because he moved Mata to the other side of the field.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
Because he moved him from the right wing to the left wing. And Mata has a tendency to drift to his left. So when he stuck him on the left wing, it stuck him on the left side. He didn't really drift in as much to the right, which it kind of closed. It kept them kind of solid, but it was very stale. I mean, there was not much there.
Well, honestly, I've never been a big fan of the way Manchester United plays games. So tell Dave I'm sorry about that, but I just don't really admire their style of play, even before Moyes. But and that kind of comes to the question, weren't we? I think at one point we were talking about, is it just better to win, or is it better to win with style or with flair or with a game plan or?
Yeah, actually, a few days ago, I got into, I wouldn't say a conversation, but I had a few tweets exchanged with Craig Burnley from ESPN, ESPN FC, and actually it was started by Tommy Smythe, and he said, Arsenal lost, but there's some things that are, he was alluding to that they lost, but there's more to just winning, and Craig had said, so what are they, happy losers? And we had a little exchange, and I said, well, I understand Chelsea has a Champions League title, but everyone in the entire world knows they won it, but they won it in a fashion that no one feels very. I would have okay, you won it, you have the trophy in your trophy case, but do you feel proud of the way you did it? I mean, Barcelona shot 400 times on you. They just were unlucky,
Yeah.
So is there more to? Is it just win at all costs? And more importantly, is that something that a fan thinks is important, but maybe a player and a manager could care less?
I mean, this is kind of a tough one, but I really think winning like the way Chelsea did is just not sustainable over the long period of time, and I think that's why you see Arsenal doing so well, or you've seen them do so well under Wenger for years. Well, top four right?
Above average.
Sure.
Always.
But I think, I definitely think identity and, a playing style is very important, and I'm trying to figure out a way why. I just think it's because I stand by it and I love it, and, I mean, that stuff works, man. Brendan Rodgers has changed the way Liverpool has been playing, and we've been playing a much more possession-based game, and in return, we've held the ball longer. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it against Arsenal because you guys are the ones who, you're the ball controllers of the league. But, against teams like Chelsea, against some of these bigger guys, if we can hold the ball longer, I think, and we have, some of those weapons up top, I think, we can pull off some results.
The people that listen to this podcast may know this, but my parents are Brazilian, so I grew up with a certain. The way my dad talks about the game, there's a certain part of the game that is how you play it is essential. The quote unquote beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you watch Brazil historically, the '94 team won the World Cup, but they were not loved. I mean, Romario was loved as a player, but the way that Dunga was a player back then, and he was like this big rock in the midfield, and it was very defensive, and it was very we're not gonna let them score, and for culturally that was almost like, what are you doing? This is not how we play. But of course it it was a tactical change that was needed because of the way all soccer was going at that time.
Yeah.
But even and then again in the last World Cup, one slip up from Dunga was playing a certain style, a more defensive setup, and the country was not happy with the way he set up the team. The media was all over him. They lost in the World Cup. Boom, job's over. Like, we told you so. We told you so. We told you so. So, and I don't see. I think that may affect. How I look at the game, because I've had that my whole life, and I feel like if you're playing quote unquote anti-football, then what's the point? Why are you even here?
Yeah.
Why? Let's play the game. Let's try to possess the ball. Let's pass. Let's create something beautiful. Like let's have some jaw dropping, like that Gerrard pass to Sturridge in the Fulham game. That was a masterpiece.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
what you want, right? I don't want to see clearances for 75 minutes. That is not the game to me.
Tell that to the folks at Stoke City, but I mean, I think there's room for both approaches really in the game, and especially in England, where you have players who can possess the ball for long periods of time. You have players who can implement a system, but some of these promoted teams, we're dealing with guys who this is like the highest point of their career, and they're in the Premier League, and really we have a lucky 1-0 lead, and we got to just clear this ball out and hold it in the corner and kick it out of the stadium and hope our fans hold on to the ball and don't throw it back down the field. I mean, they got to do everything, to pull out results sometimes.
The Hazard ball boy.
Yeah, well,
that kind of situation.
Yeah, well, hopefully not that bad, but even when we were drawing West Brom, I couldn't believe how short those 5 minutes of stoppage time felt, because their fans were just holding on to the ball anytime it went into the stands after their West Brom player kicked it way out. You're just seeing the ball come down like Plinko, and nobody wants to give it up, and yeah, it's just so frustrating. I couldn't imagine being a player and having to deal with that, but
no,
I don't think I'd be punching him like Hazard though, or kicking him.
I think that they probably care about winning at all costs way more than we do, probably. They want to see the victory is more important, the trophy is more important, because they know the effort they're putting in, regardless of if it looks crude or if it looks beautiful. To them, it's hard work and it's a win.
I also think if I could actually make a point here about this, I think these football systems and these styles and whatever. I think ultimately, if you can implement a system successfully, you're going to beat a team who's playing ugly almost at all times, because you're the ones controlling the game. Whereas I feel like this, win at all costs, do whatever you can, is a very reactive approach to the game. Whereas, when you have the style built in, you're really anticipating movements. It's like chess versus checkers, and not to make that really lame analogy, but it's really like you're taking the game in your hands when your style is the active one in the match.
Right, of course. Change of pace a bit here.
Sure.
We were going to have another guest on, actually another member of your podcast, Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's had some technical difficulties, but he texted me a question.
Oh, sure.
And I think it's an interesting question, and I think it applies to both of our fan bases here. Is it better to be top of the league in the run-in, or is it better to be the pursuer? And I think what he means is, obviously being 7th place or 8th place is not good enough. But if being in 2nd, 3rd, 4th within one weekend's results of the top, is that actually better? And I would say maybe mentally than being top.
All right. Well, if I could start with this, then I'll say I would rather be the pursuer for sure. And part of that's being a Liverpool fan. We've been atop the table twice maybe this year on 2 different occasions, and it's been a lot of pressure on even me as a fan, but the amount of pressure that's been on the team, the media, who is already like, well, is Liverpool the real deal this year? Like, are they legitimate top 4 candidates. I think it depends on the club. I think if you're Man City, you want to be at the top. If you're Arsenal, not so much, just because of the tough schedule ahead. But if you're Man City, maybe even Chelsea, though, I think Mourinho, you can tell he's already throwing these mind games out, trying to get the attention off Chelsea and onto people like Liverpool and Arsenal, etc. So, and I mean, how many times have we heard Mourinho complain about City's financial issues, like and how they are just spending loads of money on players, like Chelsea doesn't have cash to spend.
Well, that's pot and kettle right there.
So I mean, I think it depends on the club. I kind of like where Liverpool sits. I'd prefer to be in third above Arsenal, so I could give you guys a little more shit. But that could happen soon. And honestly, I don't really want to see Liverpool in first place until maybe the last couple weeks of the season. And then at that point, it's like, every result matters just as much as if we were in second or third.
Right.
So, and we have Tottenham on our heels, so we have to focus on every game and keep winning. I kind of like where we stand right now. What do you think?
To kind of build on your point, I think it matters on the club because there are built-in factors, right? There's historical factors, there's media factors.
Yeah.
Arsenal has led the league. I don't want to. I pull a number out of the hat. 80% of the time, 90%. I mean, they shared the lead. They shared the lead with Liverpool near Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
City took the lead. They gave it right back to Arsenal. Chelsea took the lead. But for the most of the league, most of the season,
it's been Arsenal. Yeah.
It's been Arsenal, and every single week, they're not going to win the league. They're not going to win the league. And I think for the club, it probably would have been better to be second and not be in the headlines and just be right there, and then strike at the end and make and win those key matches and move on.
Sure.
And then a club like you said, like a club like Manchester City, I think it's the reverse. Everyone expects them to be in first. It's easier for them to be in first because the media attention then becomes, why are they not? They're the $2 billion salaries. Why are they not in first place? So so I think there's a lot of psychology behind it. Right. In each individual case, there's probably a better spot for them. I'm gonna go completely sideways though. Arsenal might win the league, and only get 1 point off of the top 4. I'm just putting that out there. They're not performing very well against the top 4, but they're dominating everybody else. So I remember I wanted to say that before and I forgot, and I'm like, I'm throwing that in there because we might win the league because there's 96 points up for grab outside of top 4. Yeah. There's only whatever that is, the other 16 or whatever, 16 points or so to grab from those guys.
No doubt about it. It's just a unique season, and I really think whoever does win it this season is gonna, say to themselves like, "What did we just do?" I mean, there are a lot of people fighting right now. So,
I got one other point here that I wanted your take on.
Sure.
This week, Yaya Toure and Craig Bellamy were both brought up on violent conduct.
Oh.
And Bellamy, I think, basically threw a punch almost at Guzman on Swansea.
Yeah.
And Yaya Toure, at least for the second time that I'm aware of, kicked the man while he was on the ground. So it went to the FA. The FA has this 3-man panel of former referees. I think you sent me I think you tweeted out the article actually from the Guardian that I from Graham. I think Graham Poll was the author.
Yes.
Yeah, Graham Poll.
Jacob actually told me about this last week as well. So
they have this 3-man panel of former referees. They each get like an email and they say, watch this clip. What do you think? Is it a yellow card? Is it a red card? Is it not a foul? If all 3 of them agree it's a red card, then a retroactive suspension occurs.
Unanimously.
Right. It has to be a unanimous decision for a suspension to be a retroactive suspension to occur. So Bellamy, which I agree 100%, violent conduct, deserves a suspension.
Uh-huh.
Yaya Toure, somebody on that panel didn't think that kicking a man while he's on the ground deserves a red card. I'm a little confused. I think the FA needs to fix this.
I mean, I definitely think it's a flawed system, but the game's flawed. I mean, refereeing has been flawed since the game's birth. Do I think it should have been a red? Yes. I also think the FA a lot of these retroactive or even suspension decisions have just been so bad for the last 5 years. I mean, it's tough as a Liverpool supporter because I feel like we've been hit pretty hard with the whole Luis Suarez thing. Yes, I mean, he should have been suspended for some games for the bite, no doubt about that.
Well, let me ask you a quick question. Interjection. Sure. Luis Suarez kicks a man on the ground. I'm 100% sure he would have gotten a lifetime ban or a 20-match ban or something ridiculous. I mean, yeah. I know he has a history, but if you take away the history, I mean I'm sorry, excuse me. They're keeping the history as part of their decision making, which is
right. It's not court. I can tell you that, and you could see that. You look at kind of to go back to the whole Luis Suarez racist moment. There was a lot of interpretation there that could go either way as to what he said and as to what he may have meant and what Everett interpreted and what the board interpreted as what the FA, was looking at. But you also have to realize John Terry is screaming something that we can all see him say. You can read everything he's saying, and the guy gets maybe 4 games, and he no longer plays for England. I mean, the inconsistency there. Also, you have to look at moments like the Andy Carroll red with Howard Webb. Why is Andy Carroll suspended for that?
Right. Well, I agree that I agree. There's inconsistencies, and there's 2 different type of scenarios. There's a scenario where the referee sees the instance and puts it in his report. Like, I saw this happen, and this is what I determined was the right result.
Sure.
Those are rarely ever overturned because what the ref sees is basically gold. Mm-hmm. When the ref doesn't see something and it's off the ball, that's when it goes to this 3-man decision-making system. And I don't always like to just bash the system without providing a solution. So I have a quick solution. Why don't you have a blind vote from all the league officials? So basically, you have a pool of, I don't know how many top tier refs, whatever it is, 10, 15 refs, I think maybe even more than that.
Probably more.
You let them all vote. It's a blind vote, and then if it's over 75% or over 80%, like some measure, it's a suspension, because then you're getting a much broader decision making versus 3 guys that are historically refereed a league that was way more violent when they were refs.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, these are retired referees. I do like the idea of having maybe all of the referees pool in that way. One vote is not so powerful. That's for sure. I do want to say one thing though. Have you noticed? If you look at Bellamy, this Carroll red as well, and then some of the treatment Luis Suarez has. Why are all these Liverpool fans getting the short stick here? Are these former Liverpool players?
Former Liverpool players. Actually, I think Bellamy is now been. I think I read this on Twitter the other day. I think he's been suspended for 7 different clubs now.
Yeah, I mean the guy's had so many attitude problems in the past, but he's a very passionate guy, and you could see it. I mean, I definitely saw it again when he came back to Liverpool after playing at Man City for a while. The guy, was angry at Man City players during the game, but also, hugging them and kissing them after the game. So, I mean, the guy's just an interesting character. Punch somebody in the head, though. I mean, get out of here. You're out.
Yeah. He's passionate. That's a nice word, right? He's extremely passionate. Mm-hmm. And on that note, I think we've hit so many different topics. We've ranted a little bit, we've rambled, but I think it's been a really nice podcast, and
Well, wait,
it's
wait,
been
wait. Well,
wait, are you,
we gotta get a prediction for the FA
oh,
Cup
you
match.
want to? I'm actually trying to avoid predicting Arsenal matches because I predicted a 2-0 victory.
That's true.
I think
It's at the Emirates, so.
okay, I'll give you a prediction. I don't think. I think Arsenal is going to have a chip on their shoulder. I think they have now. All right, so they were embarrassed on Saturday. On Wednesday, they came out and they were flat. I think Liverpool is in the worst spot they could possibly be against Arsenal right now. Because, if psychologically,
Against the B team, Arsenal team. All right.
well, psychologically. Now, if Wenger does put out the B team, I could easily see this going to a draw and it goes back to Anfield or
That would hurt both of us.
It would. I could see it being a 1-1.
I could see it being a draw as well, but I'm not going to predict that.
But actually, I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're just going to get screwed. I think it's going to be a draw. 1-1, 2-2. It's so hard with these teams, especially with if Liverpool has some of those moments and they cut open that defense. It's hard to put them at a low scoring number. So I think a draw is in order. I think it's going to be unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't want to say a draw. I don't want to see a draw. I don't want to say a draw. And I don't want to say I want to lose this match either. But gosh, this FA Cup is more of a liability than anything. It's
like that for everybody now, except for City.
Yeah. Right. Well, City and Chelsea. I mean, shit. If I gotta put a number on it, it's tough. I don't want to waste too much time on this. Okay, if I gotta give you a prediction, if this B team plays, if the Arsenal B team really does play, then I think Liverpool will win. I don't want to see it happen really, but I also don't want to replay. It's tough. I really want top four more than anything. And if that comes with a Premier League title, then so be it. But yeah, I'll say 2-1 Liverpool.
2-1 Liverpool.
In London, yeah.
In London. It's.
But I agree. It's definitely going to be a more vicious Arsenal team. And but I just think if you guys have your B team out, we can afford to play our good players. We probably won't play Suarez and Sturridge for a full 90. I bet you. No matter what happens, even if we're down or it's a draw, going into the 80th minute, I feel like he's going to pull some players out and give them a little more rest for our Premier League game next week. Unfortunately, you guys have a midweek game, so.
I think we both forgot about the Rudy factor. Some of those B squad guys, they want to get more time, so they might come out playing harder than you expect.
Yeah, well.
I mean, don't forget, Arsenal's midfield is kind of deep. So when they rotate that midfield, these guys they want to knock somebody out of the starting lineup. So it's within the realm of possibility that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has like another breakout game trying to dislodge Jack Wilshere from that midfield. It's possible. It's within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm no psychic. As you can see, I predicted 1-1, so I'm going to give my boys a little credit here, and I'm going to say we're going to win it, and then it's going to be how the hell do we balance an FA Cup run with this Premier League run. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm hoping Liverpool does get a couple new players back in the next week or so, though. So I know Agger is back. Enrique and Sacco, I believe, are now, or no, not Enrique. Lucas and Sacco are now training.
Okay.
So, we got some people back, and we'll see how it goes. I will say one thing though. I don't think your little theater of dreams is gonna intimidate this Liverpool squad. So it's just gonna be too quiet over there. It's not Anfield.
Well, it was very quiet when you guys lost 2-0. So
Fair enough.
let's not have too short of a memory.
Fair enough.
All right. History.
I guess I'm just on my high horse after the 5-1.
I would be too.
rapping.
Don't worry. I would be too. But history will judge us on what we've said tonight. So.
Sounds good.
So before I got to thank you for stopping me for my preemptive good night. And I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast. And if you want to shout out your where people can find you guys again.
Yeah, if you want to take a listen to our podcast, you can find us at acrossthepond.co. You can find us on Twitter at ATB Radio right here. And we usually have new episodes up roughly around Tuesday or Wednesday. If there's midweek games, it may be a little different, but just give us a follow, and we'll let you know when we have episodes up. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you again for being on. Guys, you know where to find this, facebook.com/SoccerYanks. Twitter, we have the official Soccer Yanks Twitter. That's where all the podcasts and the articles that we write come out. Soccer Yank Dan is right there. Soccer Yank Dave. Just look us up. Just type in Soccer Yanks. We come up on Google now. Now, finally, after a year.
There you go.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Catch you next time.